Hey guys, and welcome to another episode of Synth vs. Synth. I think this is a great episode with a surprising ending if you've been around for a while. So a little history lesson. I've owned both of these for around a year now, and I actually got my hands on the Skulpt way back at Tom and Synth Reactor alongside Clapstealer Jackson from Modal. He showed me how crazy fun it was and easy it was to jump into, and I said when I got home to the States, I'd buy these to see what it was all about. I'll be honest guys, after about a year of trying to use the IK Uno and forcing myself to bring it as my portable train synth, I didn't get inspired to. So if you're looking for an alternative to the Uno, I suggest the Skulpt because, well, it has a more robust sequencer and the sound quality will be similar as it's a virtual analog. This is not a comparison between the Uno and the Skulpt. I'm just saying this in case there's anyone out there in the comment section that will eventually ask, okay, Uno or one of these? So there you go. So which one of these non-analog alternatives will be just the fit for me? Let's see what they really have to offer. Editor Noir here. Real quick, I had to pop in and say you're gonna need a few things before you can get going with the Skulpt and Craft 2.0 with your iPad. You're gonna need an Apple Lightning to USB 3 camera adapter. You're also gonna wanna have a USB to Lightning cable to go from your power bank to your iPad. And of course, you're gonna need a little portable power bank to power everything. I also bring like these tiny little pair of earbuds, so these are good for keeping in the case. Anyway, I think that's it, so back to the video. Many similarities exist though, from the builds to the way that the apps look to the ins and outs, though in practice, these two bring a very different sonic texture when you dive deeper. Something that should be said is that the Craft 2.0 does not have a sequencer, but it does have an arpeggiator. I think if that's something you're looking for, I want to dissuade you from that right now. The Skulpt is clearly your choice. So the touch plates. I'm not the biggest fan of either the Skulpt or Craft's touch plates, but they are both playable. Looking at the two side by side, you can see that the Craft doesn't have the usual black and white key layout, and it's not supposed to, honestly. When using the Craft and the Skulpt in combination with the iPad app, you've got the ability to have all the octaves displayed there. So if you prefer to play on an iPad screen, you have that option. I also get it, there's only so much you can do with a touch plate. So just know that you can make the keys mad thick in the app if you're having a tough time playing. The same goes for both in this case. The Skulpt's touch plate is a bit grippier than the Craft's. These are made much better than the IK Uno though, which is extremely slippery. So in my opinion, know that even with time, I feel like you'll remain more accurate on either one of these than the Uno. So what's it sound like, right? Well, the Skulpt and Craft sound are different, but ultimately you can get similar analog model sounds from both. The difference is in the oscillators, virtual analog versus wavetable. You've got tons of variety when it comes to wave shapes on the Craft, including some analog wave shapes, wavetables from the 002 as well, which is possibly why I like it so much. So yeah, the Modal 002 is still one of the only two synths I'd actually buy if I had the money. It's a modern day classic, and while it's priced out of most people's range, including my own, the Skulpt is a more typical virtual analog synth oscillator engine. Sawtooth, sine, noise, etc. You can get great percussive sounds out of the Skulpt. The sound quality is subjective, so keep that in mind. I'd say that the Skulpt has a rounder, dirtier sound, while the Craft has a more precise sound, edgier. Both sound great to my eardrums, but you have to decide for yourself. You got the delay and distortion on both, so you're not missing anything there. The filters are the same two-pole resonant filter, just implemented differently. What you talk about, apps? The Modal Skulpt and Craft are really great because they both utilize one app. The Modal app can seamlessly switch between these by just plugging and unplugging the USB cable. Updating them is also super simple, and I really like how the on-screen prompts tell you clearly what to do. The Skulpt and Craft have slightly different GUIs, and the tabs on options are mainly related to the difference in the types of synth engines and features, such as a sequencer page on the Skulpt and not having that same tab on the Craft 2.0. I like the up and down way to increase and decrease the amounts on the virtual knobs. Some companies want you to follow the shape of the virtual knob, and I hate that, so a big plus in making these the right way. The wrap up. So the Skulpt and Craft 2.0 are as different and similar as can be. One harnesses the power of virtual analog while the other brings that wavetable-y goodness. While they're great as solos, they're even better as a pair, but this isn't about complementing each other. This is about one versus the other. So, polyphonic versus monophonic, bigger versus smaller, more batteries versus less. At the end of the day, I'll be honest with you, I bring the Craft Synth 2.0 everywhere I go when I want to make music. I also, of course, bring my iPad just in case, because I want to make patches faster, have access to functions just that much faster. But to be real, the Craft is just more fun. I love the wavetables. I don't want to look past that it is smaller. I prefer the case it comes with, the form factor. I don't think in the beginning I would have picked it myself. As a player, the polyphonic features of the Skulpt should have been an easy choice, but in this footprint, 4 voices alone aren't going to steer me away from what my ears and pure enjoyment have been. Small in size but big on sound, the Craft Synth stole my heart. Well, not my heart, but maybe my backpack space. So in the end, as we all know, bigger isn't always better. Remember to like, subscribe, follow me on Instagram. Thanks again for watching, guys, and I'll see you in the next one. Back at the summons. Many similarities exist though from the book you can get out of this. Great percussive. All right, no, that wasn't good. So them apps. What about them apps? By just plugging in seamlessly. What you talking about, apps? Because they use. But this isn't about but in this footprint. Back at the summons. Many similarities exist though from the book you can get out of this. Great percussive. All right, no, that wasn't good. By just plugging in